YouTube, what's good, man? It's your guy, the BowTie fragrance guy, that is, on the channel where we talk about primarily fragrances. Yeah, that's right. We talk about fragrances on this channel. We also like to throw on some style and grooming tips as well. So if you're not only into looking good, but also smelling good, you found the right channel. Make sure you hit subscribe and don't forget to enable notifications by hitting that little bell icon down there in the corner. That way, anytime a new video is uploaded on the channel, you get notified. On today's video, guys, I'm going to be continuing along with the series, the only 5 fragrances a man will ever need for the rest of his life. Of course, the caveat here is we're talking about one particular brand. Now, we've already done videos on Givenchy and also Parfums de Marley, and today we're going to jump into the niche brand that got me into niche fragrances, and that is the House of Creed. That's right, guys. We're going to be talking about the House of Creed today, which is a niche brand that holds a special place in my heart because, as I said a few moments ago, this was the first niche brand that I really got into. It's the first brand that I would say I had a collection of fragrances. There's a lot of videos on the channel where I've talked about Creed, especially, like I said, earlier in my YouTube journey. And so that you guys know, some of you guys that are newer to fragrances, my bottles, for the most part, are 4-ounce bottles, which up until around 2018, I want to say 2018, 19, maybe, Creed bottles came in 4-ounce bottles, which is what you're going to see in this video. But anyway, very, 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 very special brand to me. And I'm going to be giving you guys the only 5 that you need for the rest of your life. So you want to see what's on the list, you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. Let's get it.
The BowTie Fragrance Guy.
All right, guys, we are back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. We're going to jump into the video, but really quickly, don't forget, guys, if you haven't picked up my ebook yet, The Gentleman's Blueprint, make sure you do so, man. Pick up a copy of the ebook, man. Support the channel. It's $9.99. I think there's some great, some great material in there that you can really, really take that and utilize and apply it to your own life, your own situation, and become the best modern version of yourself that you can. So make sure that you click on the link down below and support the channel, support your boy, and get a copy of my ebook. All right, so the first fragrance up. Now, this fragrance is one of my most complimented Creeds in my entire Creed collection. Now, one of my most complimented fragrances in my collection. Now, just because it's complimented is not the reason that it's on the list. I just think that it is a fantastic fragrance, and when it was initially released, it was one of its kind. And this fragrance is none other than Silver Mountain Water. Silver Mountain Water. This is mandarin orange. This is green tea, black currant, petit grain, galbanum, and sandalwood are the main notes in this masterpiece of a fragrance. The tea note is really what this fragrance is kind of centered around. And if you kind of follow the blurbs on Creed and what this fragrance is about, I think it's the Swiss Alps. This is kind of sort of what this fragrance was made with that in mind, mountain. So you have these cooling kind of effects in here when you think about the cool mountain air. You have, of course, the green tea in here that gives a very calming vibe to the fragrance. The petit grain that gives a little bit of green freshness as well. That kind of contributes to that airiness of this fragrance. But this is just like I said, a masterfully done fragrance. One of my most complimented Creed, and that's really saying something because honestly, Creed as a niche brand is one of the more, from a collective standpoint, one of the more easier brands to kind of wear, per fragrance. Most of their fragrances are very, have a mass appeal to them, or I would say they are easily liked by other people. I'm not going to get into naming fragrances because they may spoil something that's on the list. But again, one of my most complimented, beautiful fragrance. When I first got this, a little bit early in our fragrance journey, there was a fragrance shop that I used to frequent, and he had 4-ounce bottles of Creed. I smelled it, put it on my hand, and I was, kind of on the fence about it. But by the time I had driven back to work, I had to make a U-turn and go right back and grab it because it captured me. and I felt like I had to have it in my collection. I'm so glad that I did. I've looked in here a few times. I think the bottle was somewhere around here. So I don't have a lot left, man, but this is one of my favorite creeds. That's why it's on the list. This is great for anytime, versatile. It's very versatile. You can wear it casually. You can wear it dressed up. And it's definitely a good spring, summer fragrance like a lot of other creeds. So definitely one that I would say is a must-have, Silver Mountain Water. All right, guys, the next fragrance that I think is a must-have from Creed, one of the only 5 you ever need, it's a classic. This is Green Irish Tweed. Green Irish Tweed. This is Iris. This is Violet Leaves. Apple Green Sandalwood. This is so good, man. This was released originally in 1985. So it was released a long time ago, but there's this modern air about this fragrance that I think this should be in any gentleman's collection. I mean, it is just like the perfect fresh spring fragrance to throw on. Again, you can rock it casually, but you can definitely wear this dressed up to work. Any situation really in the springtime, this fragrance is appropriate for a modern day gentleman. I highly recommend this fragrance, to anybody that loves a green, fresh, masculine fragrance. And that's the words I would really use to describe this fragrance, because that's what it really evokes, just masculinity. It's really clean, really green. There's that rhyming again. I told you guys, man, I might start a rap over here. Anyway, yeah, but this is really, really good. Really, really clean, masculine, and fresh. And you cannot go wrong with this. Such a classic scent profile with a modern twist to it. Cannot go wrong with this one. Definitely one that I would recommend. Any out of the 5. If you could only have 5 creeds, this would definitely be one. This is a classic. It is one of the best. This is Green Irish Tweed. All right, guys, this next fragrance up, when I first started collecting creeds, this probably would have been outside of my top 5, but now I'm pretty sure this is in my top 3 creeds, and that's why it will be one of the 5 that I will recommend for the rest of your life for your creed collection, and it's this one, Royal Oud. Royal Oud. There's pink pepper, cedar wood, oud, galbanum, angelica, and musk. Guys, this is absolutely fantastic. Royal Oud from Creed. Wow. What a way to make an oud fragrance as only Creed can do it. A fresh take on an oud fragrance. Now, let's not get the name, and get things twisted. There's a little bit of oud here, but this is more about woods and spices. This is more about woods and spices. The primary note, really, you're gonna get a lot of that angelica in here, so it really gives this earthy woodiness to the fragrance and an abundance of cedar wood. Those are the 2 main players in this fragrance. But just like I talked about with Green Irish Tweed, it is really just it's this really classically masculine fragrance. And the creativity on this one right here is through the roof. Through the roof. When I smelled this fragrance, it was unlike anything else I had ever smelled. And it honestly kind of still, those words I will use to still associate it with this particular fragrance. It's fantastic. Like I said, when I first got this probably wouldn't have been in my top 5, because I'm like a lot of folks, man, when you first start getting into fragrances, it's just about really fresh, clean, citrusy stuff. That's how a lot of people start off when they kind of get into what I would call this hobby. But once your nose matures and your taste for fragrances really start to evolve, this tends to be the kind of fragrance that you're able to really appreciate for the masterpiece that it is. Great. This is one of the fragrances from Creed that is great for cooler temperatures. Now, it's versatile. This can be 6 and signature scent worthy to me, but you can definitely rock this in the fall and winter as well. It has enough oomph to it where it can wear in cooler temperatures. So definitely a must-have, man. If you don't have this, I don't know what you're waiting for. Pick it up, man. This is Royal Oud. All right, guys, next up, this one should come as no surprise. Creed Aventus. Apple, pineapple, blackcurrant, oak moss, birchwood, musk. Guys, I've heard it a million gazillion times what notes are in this fragrance, but I could penalize this fragrance for being as popular as it is, but I'm not gonna do that. When you really think about fragrances, modern day fragrances, it is really, really difficult to dismiss the effect that this fragrance has had on the fragrance industry. And I've said this a million times on this channel. I talked about how this fragrance has spawned so many inspired by. Just about every fragrance brand has their own version of Creed Aventus. About every fragrance brand you can think of has an Aventus for the clone companies, of course, clones, and for the other major brands, the inspired by version of Creed. Just about every brand has a Creed Aventus in its portfolio now, and that is saying something. This fragrance, when it came out in 2010, changed the game. And this batch that I have, I always say it, 17N01, is an amazing batch. I think this is one of the most balanced batches that has ever been created. That balance between pineapple and smoky that people always talk about. This is one of those well-balanced batches, and that's what is, highly, heralded for how balanced this one is between the pineapple, the fruitiness of that in the apple, and the smoky, birchwood and things of that nature that you get on the dry down of this fragrance. But obviously it's a masterpiece. It is, will be beyond my realm of comprehension. How anybody could leave this out of a top 5 with Creed when you're just talking about like life, like overall life for the rest of your life, because of what it has been to so many people. But anyway, definitely in the top 5, man. Must have this one, especially if you can get a 4-ounce bottle. This is Creed Aventus. All right, guys, before I get into this last one, I do want to say there are so many fragrances from Creed that I wanted to kind of put on this list, but we can only have 5. I'll give those honorable mentions after I talk about the fragrance, because that may give it away. But those of you that have been following me for a while, especially my day ones, if I have any of you left out there, you know what's coming next, because this fragrance just holds a special place in my heart. Original Santal. Original Santal, juniper berries, lavender, cinnamon, sandalwood, tonka bean. Sandalwood. This is a beautiful fragrance. Anytime you hear Santal in a fragrance, it is a lot of times a fragrance that is going to have sandalwood in it. And this is kind of a sandalwood based fragrance. Now, when I first got into fragrances early on in my journey, I would say sandalwood was like my favorite note. It's my favorite note. Like I said, I hadn't really ventured as much into niche, and I start, kind of going in, and examining the Creed fragrances. And this was one of the first purchases that I ever made that was in niche. I actually had a 75 ml bottle because I used to make the 4-ounce bottles and the 2.5-ounce bottle. I had a 2.5-ounce bottle of Original Santal. That was my first purchase, and fell in love with the fragrance. Fell in love with this fragrance. There's so much sentimental value with this particular selection for me. But I will say that when you talk about 5 for life, this fragrance offers so much versatility. The other fragrances that I really, if this were more than 5, right outside of the top 5 would be Virgin Island Water, Millesime Imperial, and Rolfo. Amazing fragrances. All 3 of those are like staples in my summertime rotation. But when you talk about versatility, and like I said, there's a sentimental value for me here with this particular pick, it has to be Original Santal as the 5th pick. Like I said, this is definitely a fragrance that you could wear as a signature scent. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, and I think you could wear it all year round. There's a rhyming again, man. I'm just saying, I do what I do. Dress it up, dress it down all year round. Anyway, but bars, don't take my stuff, all right? I don't want to hear it in your rap, on your first rap. Don't give me credit. But I love this stuff for everything that it is for this guy. So it had to make the list. Top 5. Only 5 fragrances you need for the rest of your life from Creed. Gotta put this one in there for me, man. Original Santal. But that is it, guys. That is my time. I hope you enjoyed this video today, as I gave you the only 5 fragrances you ever need for the rest of your life from the house of Creed. If you've ever smelled Creed fragrances, what are the 5 fragrances that you would choose for the only 5? I would love to hear from you down in the comment section. Now, as always, I sincerely appreciate you guys' time, and I appreciate your attention to these videos. You don't have to watch, but you do, and I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to take a few moments to like, comment, and subscribe. Please make sure you're sharing these out to some other folks that you think could use the information or find it entertaining. Because I'm your guy, Darren. I'm the BowTie fragrance guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell fantastic. So until next time, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.